so how many of you speak and talk, and some of us with our hands, with emotion? How many of you do that with emotion? Some of you more than others. Yeah, some of you more than others. Some of you way more than others. Just saying. All right, so before I begin, though, I just want to say Happy Canada Day. That's why I wore this. How many of you are going to celebrate Canada Day? It's Canada Day. Let's say woo! Yes, I love Canada Day. Not yet, but it's going to be on Wednesday. I know, but I'm preparing.
Oh, yeah.
I'm working emotion. I'm getting my locomotion going. Little locomotion motion. Yeah. So, and I plan on wandering aimlessly around the park for a while. All kinds of fun things to do. Yeah. Oh, dance. Yeah, there is a dance at the Legion.
No, music in the park.
Oh, there's music in the park, right? That's when it begins. And there's also a dance. I'm a member of the Legion because my father got a Purple Heart. He served in World War II and he was shot in the neck. He used to always show me a scar. So I'm a member of the Legion. They're having a dance in an air-conditioned place. They serve dinner for $5. I mean, how good is that? So I'm going to be doing that as well with some of my dance friends. So doesn't that sound like fun? Doesn't that sound fun? Okay, you're all invited then. Well, either that or we're going on a boat ride.
Yay, boat ride.
So this month, and also into July, we are exploring these ideas of a book, as Reverend Pat so beautifully said. It's called The Path to Wealth. This is a brand new publication. Her name is May McCarthy. She is from a Center for Spiritual Living in Seattle, Washington. And she wrote this book, and I have personally found this to be, other than our textbook, Science of Mind, to be the most powerful book on creating and manifesting your heart's desires. And those qualities of the divine as well, like joy and peace and health and wealth. So it's amazing. And there's 7 steps. And each Sunday, Reverend Ken and myself have been sharing these 7 steps. I do the first kind of introduction part, and then he kind of brings up the last part. It's been really fun. I've never had a co-minister before. I've never had a staff minister before. And it's really fun to be able to play and enjoy other people and not just be by yourself, but to have fun with that, right? Just like you have a friend, right? It's really good. So, week 1 was entitled Read Something Inspirational Every Day. And I gave a whole sermon on this. It was great, or wasn't half the sermon, excuse me, half the sermon on this. And it was all about, we give our bodies water, right? We need water and food to nourish our bodies. We also need to nourish our brain. We need to give ourselves kind of an upliftment. Like instead of a facelift, it's a faith lift. A faith lift, right? So we want to uplift ourselves. Yes. What did you say?
A tongue twister.
A tongue twister, that's what it is. So that's step 1, and we got to, our play shop is on Thursday at 7. Really fun. It goes by so quick. Step 2 of this beautiful, I call it the staircase to heaven. To really embodying the kingdom of heaven within. Step 2 is to write down a gratitude letter to CSO, and I want to say what that is. A lot of people, it's a new name for God, instead of calling it God, because there are people who sometimes have been forced to have religion, it's difficult for them, and the word God is difficult, right? So she comes up with she's a business person. She started 6 companies, many of them million-dollar companies. She's very successful. So if you're starting a business, I would highly recommend you get this book as well. And so in the second step, you write a letter to your CSO or your Chief Spiritual Officer. That is the new name for God. Your Chief Spiritual Officer. And every day you call a meeting. Any successful business, any successful center, any successful relationship must have a gathering together of the minds, of the hearts and the minds. You get together with someone, right? If you don't water your plant, what happens if you don't water your garden? This is a good time of year. I was watering my blueberry. I went to look at my blueberries, and my tomatoes are like, and I thought, they get watered twice a day, but they need more because it's been very hot. So you want to nourish your relationship with the divine And we know that where is the divine? Who knows where the divine is?
Within us.
Yeah, and this is taught in all of the world's religions and all of the spirituality. The divine is everywhere present. It is within and all around us and everywhere. So we can climb to the highest mountain and the divine is there, our CSO. We can descend to the deepest valley and be really sad. Anyone ever get sad and depressed? And the divine is there. You're never separate from this amazing power that creates worlds. The power that creates the universe upon universe upon universe upon universe. And then even more than that, the cosmos. All right, so today's step number 3. What was step 1 again? This is a test.
Inspiration.
Inspiration. You want to put inspirational reading into your consciousness. Who remembers what consciousness is? Your thoughts, your words, your actions, your feelings, everything. That's your consciousness. You want to put that in. So that's inspiration. Then you write a letter of gratitude, and you write it as if it's already here. And the third one, which is today, is speak with emotion. What happens when you speak with emotion? Sometimes, as Ken will be sharing with you, people will speak with emotion, and it's not the kind of emotion that you would like. Anyone ever have that?
Yes.
Anyone get scolded, yelled at?
Yes.
A little bit. Good thing your wife is not here today. So I start with a quote, and this is in the very first chapter. This is also a book that Reverend Pat has shared and taught and had a discussion. It's called The 4 Agreements. And so this is in that chapter, the very first quote, and I share it. Says, and this is from Don Miguel Ruiz, The 4 Agreements. He says, be impeccable with your word. Speak with integrity. Say only what you mean. Avoid using the word to speak against yourself or to gossip about others. Use the power of your word in the direction of truth and love. And I think that's very wise, very, very wise for him to say that. Great book. If you don't have it, we have it in our bookstore. So now that all of us, last week I had a handout for you. How many of you actually used the handout that I handed out to write your letter of gratitude? Those of you that were here, how many of you did that? One of you. It was just a beginning. It said that, you're talking to your partner. My partner in life is my CSO, my Chief Spiritual Officer. Can you imagine being in a relationship in which your partner had a partner that was with his or her partner was the divine, and your partner was the divine? You got together. Oh my gosh! I mean, woo! Fireworks, right? That'd be great. So now that we looked at that part, we move to the next step and we read our letter. We take this gratitude that we've written and we read it out loud to ourselves with emotion. With emotion. And we want to feel it. We want to feel. We're going to do a little practice thing in a little bit about feeling that emotion. And hearing yourself speak your words out loud, it literally anchors them more fully in your consciousness. Do you know that your subconscious loves your voice more than anyone else's voice? Yeah, so if you get a recorder or you write it out or you speak it out, I've seen people speak their affirmations into a recording, right? And then they would play it back. Your subconscious mind can receive and anchor that more powerfully than if you listen to Deepak Chopra or even Oprah or even Reverend Joanne. Your voice is what speaks to you, because that's right where wherever you go, there you are. So you want to read your letter of gratitude as you've written it, and read it out loud to yourself with emotion. You want to feel it. You want to feel it. Now, in research done by Colin McLeod and his colleagues, this was in May of 2010, and this is the Journal of Experimental Psychology. Doesn't that sound like fun? And he said this journal suggests that we remember ideas better when we speak them out loud. And when you add emotional emphasis to your words, he said, you're providing instructions to your subconscious to believe that the words are true and must be translated into substantial form. So that's why you want to say them out loud. And I asked my landlady, I live in the bottom suite of a log home, which I love, And I often will walk around saying these things out loud. I said, by the way, do you ever hear me talking to myself? She said, no, the only thing I hear you doing is talking to Tucker. They have a dog that I get to play with. And I'm like, hi, baby, how's my little baby, how's my dog? And she says, the only time I hear you talking, I'm like, whew. Because I walk around, right? I walk around saying these things, right? She says, no, I just hear you talking to Tucker, so that's good. So you want to add the emotional emphasis to your letter that you write, to your gratitude. Like if I said, oh, thank you so much. That's different than thank you so much. I am so glad that you are all here. Can you feel that? Rather than thank you very much. Thank you very much. So glad you're here. Right? There's a big difference. So in the book, how many of you have heard of the book Think and Grow Rich? And his name is Napoleon, not the Napoleon from history, but Napoleon Hill. And he said that our subconscious mind receives and files in our DNA sense impressions or thoughts regardless of their nature. So all the wonderful blessings that have happened to you in your life are filed away in your being. And all of the challenges that we like to call opportunities are filed away in your subconscious. And that is why we want to spend our time hanging out in a place of positivity. If my subconscious mind is putting this in my computer here, called my being, I want it to be a positive experience. He goes on to say, you may voluntarily plant in your subconscious mind any plan, thought, or purpose which you desire to translate into the physical equivalent. The subconscious acts first on the domineering desires which have been mixed with emotion. So if you want to manifest something, you want to say it out loud with emotion. And what I found fun, you might want to try this. How many of you have been to the Grand Canyon? Is there anything like that in Canada?
Yeah.
Nothing like that? Is there like a little bit of the Grand Canyon in Canada?
There's Box Canyon.
The Box Canyon?
Box Canyon.
Well, what you want to do, this is so fun, and I invite you all to do it this week. I know you're not going to be able to go to the Grand Canyon unless you can, right? You go to the edge of the Grand Canyon, and you speak your word out into the whole canyon. How many of you have heard an echo in a mountain? You go echo, you go hello, and it goes hello, 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 hello. Yeah, so you want to speak. It's really fun to go to a place in nature and to be able to put this out into the universe, upon universe and nature, to speak your word with conviction, with emotion, and with power. Very powerful. So you want to speak your letter, read your letter out loud with emotion to reinforce your belief that you will receive the good that you want and allow these statements. You allow these statements. You allow them to be transformed into the physical beingness of your body, and therefore, as you embody something, it becomes. We're all creators. Our vibration and our energy are elevated to equal that of the things we desire. When you speak it, you are elevated. So when you speak it, you are elevated. Let's say that together. When you speak it, you are elevated. So you just got it at a deeper level because you said it out loud. So finally, here's what our author, Mae McCarthy, says is happening to you when you speak your words. She said, as you use your thoughts, words, and emotions, they go into harmony with each other. Have you ever had a contradicting thought? You felt this and you thought this and they didn't match? But when you speak it out loud and you align, the reasons, this is from also Abraham, from Dr. Holmes, this is why you don't manifest something. You're always wondering why. I prayed for this and I prayed for this until the cows come home. The cows came home, but I still don't have what I want. Why? Because all of you is not aligned with your desire. Part of you might say, I don't deserve it. It's kind of scary if I go into this relationship, so you might kind of resist it, right? So all of you aligns, when your thoughts, your words, and your feeling align, that is power. There is power in that alignment. Okay, she goes on to say, you put yourself in a position to attract what you're focused on and what you put your attention on. You become, I love this word, You become magnetic to your good. So when I go to a dance, I don't just wear sparkles. I go to the dance and I literally say to myself, I dance every dance at every dance. Everybody loves to dance with me. Everybody loves to dance with me. And I was at a dance just on the other night, and someone said, you know, I waited, the gentleman said, I waited hours to get a dance with you. And I go, yeah. Line up, baby. Yeah. So I'm just saying, you know, you become magnetic. Like you walk in the door. I mean, I have literally sat down, closed my eyes, and said those words. And when I open my eyes, I'm not kidding, I'm not making this up. This is in Medford, I open my eyes and there's 5 men all going like this. They all wanted to dance with me because I made myself magnetic to my good. What is your heart's desire? What is it that, you know, for me it's dancing. I don't know what happens, something inside me happens when I dance. And I literally, I don't know how to explain it. My heart smiles so big that it must come out of me and be this giant smile walking around. You know, I'm magnetic. So think of one thing, we're going to do this in a minute. I want you to think of one thing that you want to manifest, and we're going to practice this, and then we're going to have Ken come up too. So the very last piece is you want to feel, you want to imagine, you want to vibe the thing that you really is your heart's desire. And on page 42 in our book, and 101 for those of you who have the book, I love what she says, our author. She said, it is difficult to speak one thing out loud and then to think a contrary thought. So your word automatically trumps your thought. That's very powerful. When I read that, it was sort of like the light came on. I said, oh my gosh. So your word is more powerful than your thought. I think that's really amazing. So you want to speak the words you want out loud. It changes your emotional energy. Through gratitude, you become a beacon, a magnetic attractor for your desire. Reading out loud starts the transformation to make you a magnet for those things you want. So let's try that. I want you all, so take just a second, just about 1 minute, maybe less, maybe 2 minutes. Close your eyes, and I want you to think of one thing that is your heart's desire right now. One thing that your heart is so happy about. I want you to imagine, use your imagination. Einstein said imagination is more powerful than knowledge. Using your imagination, I want you to imagine that this thing that you desire is already in your life. I want you to feel. What would it feel like to have, to see it, to feel it, to taste it? This thing that you desire is already here. Now, it's in your life. It has arrived. And I want you just to feel what that feels like, to know it is already here. Really get into it. So what emotion are you feeling now? As you think about knowing it's already here, what is your emotion? What is your emotion feeling? For me, it's joy. It's exuberance. It's delight. It's joy. It's happiness. It's radiance. It's like, oh my goodness, thank you. Thank you, CSO, that it's already here. It feels good. My whole body, my whole mind, my heart, my soul is vibing with that. It feels wonderful. Okay, now open your eyes. If you then take that and you speak it into form, out loud, and you do it consistently, all of you aligns to receive it. Every part of you aligns to receive it. And the universe is seeing this, it's hearing this, is saying, oh my God, she thinks she already has this. She's saying thank you ahead of time. She's so happy, she's bouncing around the floor like a puppy. Boing, boing, boing. Like a happy dog, right? Like Jake when he goes for a walk. Yeah, let's go for a walk. What did you say when your dog, we said it to your dog? It's also happy, right? All right. So very, very powerful. And so I'm going to read something out loud. I want you to say it right after me. It's not very long, but it's very powerful. And it's just an affirmation about love. And just see how this feels. I love everyone.
I love everyone.
And everyone loves me.
And everyone loves me.
Especially those dancers. I bless everyone.
I bless everyone.
And everyone blesses me.
And everyone blesses me.
I forgive everyone.
I forgive everyone.
And everyone forgives me.
And everyone forgives me.
I am loved.
I am loved.
I am blessed.
I am blessed.
I am forgiven.
I am forgiven.
And we are all free.
We are all free.
The very last one. This is from Terry Cole Whitaker. I really feel blessed that I got to hang out with Terry Cole Whitaker. Some of you may know who she is. She's author of many books, and she's also a Science of Mind minister. She would go and she would end all of her conferences saying this, and it happened. I'm just saying it happened. She would say, everybody loves me, and everybody wants to marry me. And everyone would laugh. So we're going to say that together. Everyone loves me.
Everyone loves me.
And everyone wants to marry me.
And everyone wants to marry me.
And so it is.
And so it is.
And so we are.
And so we are.
And so I am.
And so I am.
And now I'm going to call up Reverend. And he's going to tell you a little bit more about that. Come on up. This is a wonderful new Reverend, and he's going to share the last couple pieces of this that are also very powerful, so you want to pay attention. All good. There you go.
Wow. All right. Well, that was wonderful. So, Reverend Joyanne has kind of set us up beautifully for some good foundational work. So we worked ourselves through the step 1, the inspirational reading. Step 2, we got to the writing of a gratitude letter. And step 3, now we're talking about emotion. So that's kind of what I want to add a little bit more to. Perhaps not with the dancing, but such as it is. So the author, Mae McCarthy, she tells us that the third step on the path isn't quite as easy as just speaking with emotion. She tells us that we human beings, which we all are, we are already speaking with emotion. Speak with emotion. We're already speaking with emotion. So what's the catch here? Sometimes we aren't noticing exactly what we are saying. She describes us as either speaking about what we do want. Sometimes, however, we're speaking about what we don't want. And there's where the problem comes in, or the challenge. And if it's something that we don't want, it may manifest for us. As we know, our word is God. It's the word of God in our experience. It's that big. It doesn't get any bigger than that. And if we're focusing on the wrong thing, then that's what we get to experience. Now, Ernest Holmes, how many of you have heard of Ernest Holmes? Yeah. Here's one. Anyway, I wanted to bring in Ernest and see what he said about vibrations. Ernest Holmes talks about vibration, and this is what he says. He says, thought force is a movement of consciousness in a field of mechanical but intelligent law. So the key thing for me there is kind of the aspect of mechanical, the doing of something. The movement of consciousness upon itself creates a motion or vibration upon substance, upon form, the force of which is equal to the embodiment of the thought set in motion. Ernest is a pretty smart fella, and it kind of goes to the head. So I know that all of us have kind of picked up the flavor of that. It simply reinforces the power of our spoken word that sets up a vibration, and that gets things and sets them into motion. And that's where it comes from. There's a gal, this is 7 years ago, her name is Barbara Fredrickson, and she's a researcher, or was. I haven't checked up on where she is lately. But she was a psychologist, and she wrote a paper on positive psychology at the University of North Carolina, which is kind of interesting. As a little side note, our president, Dr. John Waterhouse, and his wife, Dr. Barbara Waterhouse, they operate a center in North Carolina as well. And remember Marcia, Reverend Marcia? She started her work in North Carolina. Maybe there's some energy there. Anyway, Miss Fredrickson wrote a paper, and this is what it's entitled: Open Hearts Build Lives. Positive emotions induced through loving kindness meditation build consequential personal resources. So she's reinforcing this notion about speaking something, about involving the heart, and about building something. What she is saying is that when we experience positive emotions like joy and contentment and love, we will see more possibilities showing up in and for us. Positive emotions broaden our sense of possibility and open our minds up to more options. So, with a sense of happiness or higher emotion, we get to live a more abundant life. And this is where CSO, Chief Spiritual Officer, comes in. Through that CSO aspect of our being, we can generate the happiness that can lead to a bigger life. Now, I'll test your remembrance skills here, your memory. Remember the declaration that Ernest Holmes made, having something to do about changing your thinking and changing your life? Well, what we are talking about here is slightly different, but it is in no way contrary to that. Change your thinking, change your life. What we are saying is, change your language, change your life. Change your language, change your life. Now, I'm a little older than most folks here, but I know I'm getting younger by the moment. I know that. In the olden days, we might have been cautioned to watch your language. Anybody remember that? Watch your language. And that might have been in the context of an older person, like an adult, hearing something that they deemed offensive. And in those days, people used to feel free to straightening out any younger folk, right? The village raised the child. Probably you'd be sued for verbal assault now. But anyway, watch your language. And remember that there was also this consciousness and sometimes the actuality of a child being held and had their face or had their mouth washed out with soap. Yikes. Yeah, that happened. So, as it turns out, we all need to watch our language. And no, I'm not suggesting that we might self-punish ourselves by sucking on a soap bar or something like that to remember. Although some people get an elastic band and snap it or whatever, right? So watching our language, regardless of that circumstance in the past, it turns out to still be hugely important for us in our lives. Watching our language. For example, I could say, I wish I didn't arrive late for my appointments. Pick up the negativity. Or, I always arrive on say that out loud, just think that. I wish I didn't arrive late for my appointments. I always arrive on time to my appointments. Do you feel the difference? And that feeling is part of cause. Our thoughts, our ideas, our attitudes, our beliefs, our emotions, all of that is part of generating this abundance. So one is positive and it sets up a higher vibration, and the other is negative and it goes to a lower level. We have the power to change our speech to be more positive and of a higher energy. In doing so, we will become more of a magnet. Thank you, Reverend Joanne. More of a magnet. We will be attracting the vibrational energy. That which is a higher vibration will come to us. It's a way to focus less on what we don't want and more on what we do want by focusing on that level. As you read your gratitude level or letter with emotion, and this is now coming back to step 3, check in with yourself to confirm what the level is of the choice that you're making in terms of words. What words? And we can catch ourselves. We can pick up on occasion as we kind of grow into our awareness. We can be more aware of what we're saying. And remember, we only watch our language for our own good, not for anybody else's necessarily. As an added bonus, you can't speak out loud, reinforcing what Reverend Joanne has said, for your good while thinking thoughts of doubts. It's impossible to do both. You can't speak the goodness and still think the negativity. So if there's something that is rolling, how many of you have had a thought that may have rolled and if nothing too nice about it? I am wonderful. I am wonderful. I am wonderful. I think good thoughts. I think good thoughts. I think good thoughts. I think good thoughts. Simply going into a mantra of that can dissipate the negativity that's rolling through us. How many of you play bridge? Know about bridge? How many of you know about the word Trump? And not Donald Trump or not the Trump. He's got some power, I suppose. But trumping is powerful in bridge. And the spoken word is Trump. The spoken word always trumps negative thinking. It's the card that we can play. The spoken word, and it's in here. Now, the spoken word is incredibly powerful as a tool, and we teach and share tools for more abundant living. It's for shaping the world the way we would prefer to live it. If your energy level has been low, or you have been receiving what you don't want, examine, reflect on what the words are that you may have been using. Are the words that you are using, are they helpful, or are they hindering your access to goodness? You have the power, we all have the power to choose the words that will empower us. You do not have to allow past performances or circumstances, well, that's just the way I do it. And it may not feel good, but that just seems to be the way it is. That is not true. As Ernest Holmes says, that's a lie, or that's a fraud. It's not true. The power is in our present moment, always. We always have the opportunity of speaking our word right here, right now, and that is the power, not what happened 10 years ago that keeps coming back to haunt us. In terms of our branding statement, change your thinking, change your life, our gratitude letter each morning gives us a perfect opportunity. How many of you know what the word proactive means? Proactive, reactive. Proactive is getting out there ahead of things. Proactive. When we thank CSO, usually we're encouraged to thank CSO for what we have. Thank CSO what we may not have embodied totally, but we're still working on it. It's still a work in progress. And also that we want to remind ourselves to express that which we want to express with others. You're sitting down at the table or wherever, writing your letter of gratitude, and here's your perfect opportunity. As part of the framework, we need only to, and if you're a handwriter, that's good. You have only to say, to write down perhaps an affirmation for only speaking words that are constructive, positive, and valuable. Thank you, CSO, for me today, only speaking words of power, of constructiveness, of building me up. You don't have to worry about getting the exact words, the fancy words. Speak it from your heart. Some things we put out there without being 100% committed. We're a little bit unsure. Put it out there anyway. The spoken word, no matter if you're 100% committed to it or not, the spoken word has power. You put it out there, and as you grow, it becomes more powerful, and it becomes your own. How about writing down? I choose right words. I change my life. I'll close with a shared spoken desire. This I could write down if you could remember part of it. Thank you, CSO, for all of us delightfully gaining the knowledge necessary to co-create the life that we want with you, CSO, as our partner. And so it is.
So it is.
Let's just go into the prosperity affirmations because we're moving along with time. So this morning I would invite you to share your wealth and share your abundance. And there's little envelopes provided in the bulletins. And if you would join me in saying, immense riches and abundance are now flowing to me from all points of the universe. It is my natural birthright. Therefore I live and move and have my being in God's great good. I know that Spirit is my source and my supply, so I give generously of my good to bless my spiritual home, Center for Spiritual Living, Kamloops. All I give is returned to me multiplied, and so it is.
Sheila, turn down the music. Blessings to Sheila. Let's give a hand to Sheila. So I just like to take this opportunity to bless all of the gifts that we have received today, the gifts